Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So yesterday there was a trade deal agreement between the UK and India when it comes to global trading between both countries. Now, this trade deal included multiple things like reduced tariffs and opportunity for companies between both countries to be able to trade with each other easier. Now, in this deal was the fact that there will be no national insurance payment for anyone that comes from India over to this country to work temporarily. Now, obviously, this seems to rile up the right, or specifically the reform voters, right? Because they believe if anyone is paying taxes in this country, the British people are paying taxes, so should anyone that's coming to this country. They should also be paying taxes. But obviously, it seems to be like that's the thing they actually focus on, considering there are other good parts in the deal. That part seems to take so much attention, and obviously they're starting to make like fake scenarios on the media and everywhere. But before we get into today's video, it will be massively appreciated if you drop a like button. It really helps. And also, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe.
I'll start with you on this, Esther. I mean, the optics of it, regardless of what maybe the detail is, the way that this has been explained or not explained has allowed people to say it looks as though you're hiking tax for British workers, and you are making Indian workers pay no tax, i.e. putting Brits at the back of the queue.
Yes, the comms on this.
Well, that's not actually true, because to give like a brief explanation of this, it's that NI, right? National insurance tax obviously covers like social security. Now, if you're gonna come here, and by the way, this only applies for temporary stay. If you're gonna come here from another country and work on a temporary visa, why the hell would you ever pay national insurance tax? I.e., why would you ever pay for social security? You're gonna be out of it in 6 months. It makes no sense. And also, that's like a double jeopardy right there. You're already paying national insurance tax in the country you came from, your permanent country, the permanent residence that you have in your country. Why would you also pay for social security in this country where you're here temporarily? It makes no sense. You're paying twice, and also you're gonna be out of it in 6, 7, 8 months. Why the hell would you ever do that? It makes no sense. So it's not that Brits are being put at the back of the queue. It's just that it makes no sense. Because why the hell would you want to pay for social security when you're not going to be here for the rest of your life? It makes no sense. And also, the same also applies for British people that go all the way to India. You don't have to pay for social security there. Why? Because you're not going to be there for long. Because you're temporarily working for British companies. The same people that also are coming from India, working for Indian companies specifically.
This has been terrible, but I think that we've seen a gaping hole where competent comms is supposed to be coming out of Downing Street. Now, the explanation should be that we have this kind of deal with other countries, like South Korea, for example, where if South Korean companies send their workers to relocate temporarily to the UK as you get transferred for jobs, they don't have to pay national insurance contributions in the UK because they're still paying those obligations.
Exactly. Exactly. You don't need to pay it twice in two. Why would you pay for social security in two different countries especially when the other one is not for permanent stay?
In South Korea. The reason why people are upset about this is because, one, we don't actually know how this would materialize in real life, but also Indian nationals have a reputation of overstaying their visas quite badly in this country. So they don't actually have a lot of good faith amongst the British population.
That's exactly what the problem is. It's not really that they're actually not fine with this deal. It's just that the fact that, hey, we don't like Indians. They have a tendency to overstay their welcome. Okay, then just be more harsh to people that come here on temporary visas. That's it. Just make sure that no matter what they say, they can't stay longer than the visa that they actually have. That's it. That's literally the solution to it. Like, there isn't any need for chaos or believing you're being put at the back of the queue. Absolutely not. Like, most countries have this already.
Population of actually being able to honour their visa obligations and then go back. And on the point of sort of the yogis and the chefs and these kind of special skill visas, apparently it's been capped at 1,800 a year. However, again, we don't actually know if that's going to materialise.
Yeah, I mean, this is
if you're going to say the civil service, sorry, we actually accidentally let in 1 million yoga teachers.
Yeah, and with absolute respect, why? I mean, I was on Just Eat earlier just to see how within like a 2-mile radius of where I'm sitting now, how many Indian restaurants there are. And there's like 150, right? It's insane. We don't need any more skilled Indian chefs, do we?
I mean, I'm not sure a chef is going to be considered a skilled worker. But even if that's the case, that's going to be a very small amount of chefs, right? Like, people that are working in restaurants are not coming here applying for skilled visa. Like, if you're someone that works in a restaurant, you're not believed to be a skilled worker. I don't believe, like, people that are working in restaurant are skilled workers. There's no way. And even if they are, it's very small amount of people. Okay, so restaurants, that's not really a good example as to like why it could cause many people coming over to the country. It makes no sense.
Probably not. I would like. I think there's some good things we should talk about this deal. Is that it is lowering tariffs on our cars going to India. So I know we can focus on the immigration part, but I do think we should focus on this is going to be good for industry in Britain. And that's talking about industry jobs that we care about. And a lot of those industry jobs are across in the Midlands and up in the north. So I think, yes, that there is a sort of small problem here, but I think it's a comms one more than anything.
Absolutely amazing. She's making such an amazing point. Obviously, the part that gets to them is India migration, right? That's obviously like a ringing alarm bell to them, right? Because, you know, they have something against Indians, right? But there are other parts to this deal. It isn't just Indian people coming to this country. That's not the only part of the deal. Also, like relieved tariffs as well. It's easier for these countries in the UK to be able to trade with companies in India. That's also part of the deal as well. Why is it that you're so focused on just the migration part? Like, obviously, I'm not surprised that they're focused on that, but it's just that like they continuously do this, right? Like the only part that sticks out to them is the migration part. What about the other parts that's literally showing you that, hey, it's easier for this country to trade with another country? I mean, that's what we should want, right? Like reduce tariffs and easier time for people to be able to trade with other countries. That should be talked about, but they wouldn't talk about that part because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Well, yes.
And actually, Indian immigration here to this country has been falling. So it actually only 2 years ago, it was 156,000 Indians got work visas here. No, I'm not saying it's good, but it fell in 2024 to 81,000 because one of the key things we reduced was that if you came in to work for our health service, you weren't allowed to automatically bring your dependents anymore.
But that doesn't include
and the dependents were actually making up more.
Yeah, because they're students. The hell? Of course. They're students. What the hell?
Or obviously than the skilled workers. Now, that is a problem because those dependents are then going into our schools, they're using our National Health Service, and there were certain rules that you couldn't then go and sit on benefits. So I do think it's easy to sort of focus on the uncomfortable narrative here, and we should, because there's clearly going to be some slip-throughs. But I
absolutely amazing. I don't know who this lady is, but she's absolutely right. Like we're way too focused on just one part and just living at the rest of the part. That is so beneficial to the countries in here, over here, and also in India as well. Free trade is absolutely amazing. Why would you not point that out at all?
I do think for the Brit, I would like people to focus also this has been a good thing in some ways.
Let's make Jonathan, let's squirm here and enjoy and bask and bathe in a Brexit dividend.
Well, look, Patrick, I accepted that we left the European Union because we did leave the European Union. Obviously, once you leave the European Union, then you have to do the things that allows you to do. I wrote.
You wanted. I mean, they wanted Brexit, right? Like, Reform Party, they wanted Brexit, and one of the advantages of Brexit is the fact that you can do something autonomously, right? You don't have to rely on the EU making the rules anymore. You can decide which countries you want to trade with. And now, this is the benefit of it. We're trading with India. So it is what it is. You've got to accept it.
I wrote a report about Brexit benefits, quote unquote, trade deals. And along with everyone else who wrote reports on this, we realised and calculated that any benefit from this deal, and Nick Timothy might well be right, by the way, that it will add an infinitesimally small amount to our GDP, which is vastly outweighed by the hit GDP of Brexit. Having said that, it doesn't mean that we should just sort of, sit on our knees and not do anything for the rest of our lives. Obviously, we have to make the best of a bad job, which Brexit was. Having so with that, a deal with India, which people, I'll be completely honest, people said would be very, very difficult, nigh on impossible, because India is such a protectionist country. I'm impressed the government has managed to get that deal, which Conservatives did not manage to do, and also reduce the vast tariffs that India has traditionally placed on our industries. The Scotch whisky industry has petitioned for years. And
these are the advantageous part of the deal, but they won't say it. It's absolutely true. Like, it's very difficult to get India to trade with the UK. But the Prime Minister has actually done it, which is very, very good. It obviously helps, considering the United States is putting tariffs on everyone and us as well. So we need to look for other partners to trade with that are not going to put tariffs on this country. You got to look for other options.
years because it's very popular in India and it's subject to enormous tariffs. Those are now being slashed. Luxury cars, Zemley said to India, we need a car industry, Patrick, as you will admit freely yourself. And this is very, very good news. This whole bogus argument that Kenny Badenoch is confecting is just complete nonsense.
Sorry to cut across you, but we do have some breaking news, and there is a relevance potentially in light of what we've just been speaking about there. According to Reuters, some time ago, India attacked Pakistan in 3 locations with missiles. Pakistan military spokesman tells Pakistan apparently will respond to attacks by India, and Pakistan's military spokesperson has basically said that they will do that. So there we go. I'll just read that again because, sorry, it was a little bit garbled, that really. But according to Reuters, some time ago, India attacked Pakistan in 3 locations with missiles. It looks as though, from what I can tell by this anyway, that Pakistan is saying that they're going to respond. Just in light of this, I can't help but wonder what...
Now, let me guess that you're just going to use that to make even more arguments that, hey, look, they're supporting India, they're supporting countries that invaded more countries. Like, you can just see it coming.
Whether or not now, it looks as though the Prime Minister has taken India's side in all of this, and that might have some ramifications.
Well, I think the main sort of driver behind getting this deal over the line is Trump's tariffs, and that's kind of pushed countries to be hasty.
Thank you. It literally pushed countries to be able to make decisions and look for other trading partners. Because if America is going to put tariffs on the UK, then obviously it clearly shows that business with America is going to obviously be like hindered. So we need to look for other like trading partners, and it totally makes sense.
To try and secure free trade deals. I mean, this is only India's 16th. And the 15 previous free trade deals they've signed have been actually not as ambitious as this one. So there is a lot to be said about that. That being said, there are questions around, of course, the numbers, people overstaying their visas, the ability to track them.
But there's also going to be some questions around steel and cement.
Well, I mean, but those questions are around China,
because
not India.
It's not just around China. It's about whether we apply a carbon tax. And this country, at this moment,
just to say, sorry to I do actually seriously think this is quite a significant development.
Look, it's massive. Look, these are two nuclear-armed countries, and they have a history. They have a history of fighting.
I think.
Sorry, can we just go? Sorry, just because
they have a history of fighting several wars since independence, and it's obviously incredibly dangerous whenever they do. Not just because of the standard risks to life, but because these are both nuclear-armed countries, and so
also
obviously
there's a huge diaspora of population in this country.
Absolutely,
well.
but obviously the UK government is not going to be taking sides, rightly so. But I would strongly expect the UK government to be urging de-escalation, as everyone should be, because this is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, I must say I am quite concerned. Again, there's this breaking news that we are bringing you that look, Pakistan says that India has attacked them at 3 locations with missiles. My big concern, as always, when we see a foreign conflict, well, primarily is what does that mean for us here in Britain? And I can't help but wonder whether or not sectarian violence on the streets of Britain is just around the corner.
No, there's no history of that.
No, there is. There's very little,
but not when India, not because of India and Pakistan fighting, though.
No, well, actually,
it was members of the Indian community who happened to...
That's not going to happen. Like, the true colours are starting to come out now. Like, the real agenda behind them not wanting the migration of Indians coming to this country to work, it's starting to show now. It has nothing to do with work, really. It really doesn't. Because if you take away India and replace it with America, and Americans can come to this country and actually stay here for a few months and actually not have to pay any level of tax or national insurance tax, right? If that was the deal, they wouldn't have any problem with that. But obviously they have agenda, or should I say a perspective on Indians coming to this country, like she said, overstaying and breaking the rules, committing crimes and all of this stuff. That's truly the agenda that they're truly against. That's truly the reason why they don't like this deal. That basically it. It has nothing to do with the deal. It has everything to do with the country. I think that's obviously quite obvious, but that's just my thoughts on the video. If you like the content, drop a like, it will be massively appreciated. And also, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe. And if you have any disagreements, put it down in the comments below.